Welcome again, ladies and gentlemen, to Jost on Unboxing. Let's have a little chit-chat about Tyson Fury and his injury, shall we? Why not? Because, of course, yesterday, following the announcement that Fury had sustained a very bad cut and released photographs, there's a little bit of training footage as well. People, of course, inevitably have said he's faked it. He's got someone to cut him. That was one argument. He never wanted to fight anyway. All sorts of conspiracy theories have been coming out. Now, look, as I've said many times before, I detest the conspiracy theory mentality. The idea that anything out of the ordinary, anything that is coincidental, anything that happens when you feared it would is some sort of conspiracy. Having said that, I mean, that's sort of paranoia, you can push that to one side. But having said that, conspiracies do happen. It's just that most of the things that get called conspiracy theories aren't. There's just the way that, the world is chaotic. Things do sometimes just occur. But conspiracies do happen. And I think because we're talking about Tyson Fury here, who is so obviously disingenuous, conniving, unreliable, let's put it really politely and say that he's extremely unreliable. That is the very least. That's like saying that Hitler, was a bit of a naughty boy. But we'll go with that. He's very unreliable. People, of course, are going to say, well, I don't believe this. Now, look, I was someone who all along thought this fight I had fears that it wouldn't happen. I really did. I've said it many times in my videos. I just don't trust Fury. And it seems to me that nothing added up. And that the people that were saying, oh, it'll definitely happen, they were being a little bit too optimistic, which is fine. You can want something to happen and it's almost like you're willing it to happen. But if you look back at the last several months, Fury turned up for Ngannou. Well, actually, no, let's go back further than that. Let's go back to the back end of 2022 when he cherry-picked Derek Chisora for a third fight, which was an obvious easy mismatch for him. Now, he could have fought anyone else, regardless of what Frank Warren says. Frank Warren talks a lot of crap, as we know, as does Fury. The only person that supersedes Warren in terms of talking crap is Fury. And Warren simply repeats Fury's crap. So they were saying, well, the only person who's available was Derek Chisora. Absolute rubbish. But you've got to ask, why did he pick Chisora? Why was it such a cherry pick? Did he just want an easy gig? Or was his heart not really in boxing anymore? Was he thinking, okay, I'll go through the motions for Derek Chisora, but I don't really want any challenges. I'm soft. I've made out 100 million quid or whatever it is, but I don't know what the hell it is. But maybe it's time to just, take it easier. I've done my thing. I've proved myself. I don't really need to sort of take on the best challenges. I don't need to clean up the division. But if I just keep saying that I'm the greatest, I'm the best ever, not just the best of his era, eventually, as with any sort of big lie, if you repeat it enough, it becomes a sort of factual, in a sense, in people's heads. That's the narrative, So that was a bad sign. Then you get to 2023, where he visibly, clearly, evidently ducked Usyk. He wasn't interested. Why? Ultimately, because he wanted to fight Ngannou for what he considered to be another extremely lucrative but easy paycheck. Okay, it happened, and we know what happened with Ngannou. Ngannou sprang a surprise for him. Fury turned up woefully out of shape, probably didn't seem to have a game plan, which, considering Sugar Hill's in his corner, is scandalous. But he thought, I'll just toy with this guy, slap him around, and at least win an easy decision. Probably stop him. The ref will step in or something like this. And of course, we know what happened. Now, on the back end of that, considering that the Usyk fight was meant to be on the 23rd of December of last year, that was a big shock for Fury. And if you look at his post-fight videos for the Ngannou fight, Fury does seem very sort of sheepish and accepting, or seemingly accepting. He's sort of going through the motions. There's no lip. There's no bluster. No bombastic retorts to any questions. He's just chilled. Well, not chilled, but subdued, almost like he's got his tail between his legs. And of course, as we know, because he suffered some minor abrasions, and they were relatively minor, nothing like this big cut that he's got now. Okay, we'll let December the 23rd go. We'll reschedule it for 17th of February. So we now got a situation where Fury has 2.5 months to get ready. But that's 2.5 months to get in shape and then get in fighting shape, which are two very different things. If you've ever boxed, if you've ever been in a gym, you'll know that there's two different things. You not only have to get yourself physically fit, mentally prepared, hone your tools, all of that stuff takes a long time. And if you've got a fat camp to get through first in only 2.5 months, doesn't leave a lot of time. Having said that, in the gloves are off face-to-face thing that Fury and Usyk did, Fury did look, in his face, he looked fitter. He looked brighter. He was sitting down, so you couldn't really tell about his midriff, but he seemed to have lost a fair bit of weight. Again, that doesn't mean you're fighting fit. It's kind of like when Muhammad Ali fought Larry Holmes, and he looked great, aesthetically looked great. And Angelo Dundee said, light ain't right, meaning that Muhammad had just lost all the weight, and it was a superficial image that he was giving off. He wasn't fighting fit, he wasn't ready. And we know what happened to Ali against Holmes, of course. Very, very sad to see. With Fury, it may be a similar thing. He got himself looking good, or was on the way to getting himself looking good. But then you've got the issue of the camp itself, because we know that certainly Johnny Nelson is one person who was saying that camp is not going well. Fury's getting slapped around. And Usyk's camp is going fantastically well. And you could sort of believe that, because in the gloves are off, Usyk had a real intensity about him. He wasn't his usual jovial self. He had that sort of sharp, I'm almost tempted to call it like the Jayre look, because Opataya always looks like he wants to kill someone. He's a really intimidating, intense, like guy like he's about to explode at any point, a glare, white, a sort of a stiff-eyed glare. Usyk had a slight element of that to him. So I can believe that his camp is going pretty well. Nelson and others have said Fury's camp is terrible. Then you had, talking of Opataya, he did 5 rounds with Fury allegedly, and then went home. Then you have other situations like someone said that Fury got floored in sparring. Look, all of this is conjecture. I don't know whether this is true, but on the other hand, you could say, well, there's no smoke without fire. On the other hand, you could say, well, perhaps Fury and his team are putting out these bad reports just to give Usyk's team a false sense of security. You just don't know. This is why I object so much normally to conspiracy theories, because they look at one side, they put all their eggs in one basket, and they don't look at the other side. And if you're objective, you've got to do both. You've got to do both without dismissing the possibility that there is some sort of skullduggery going on. That's perfectly possible. So all of this is going on. Okay. So this is a reason. This is the reasoning behind Fury, why Fury would, in effect, self-harm and cut his eye open and get out of the fight. Now, if you want my opinion, and this is just my opinion, I don't have any inside information, but I would say the cut looks legit. Admittedly, it's a slice, which indicates it could be a razor blade, but you do get cuts like that. And also, there is some swelling around the cut, which implies that he's been hit repeatedly on the eye, and don't forget, that's the eye where the Otto Wallin, where he needed stitches after the Otto Wallin. That was a terrible cut. That was worse than this one. And the fight continued. So, of course, it always, you can have plastic surgery on that eye, which Fury might have plastic surgery on this one. You never know with plastic surgery these days, because you can have layers of micro stitches. It's not like the old days. I mean, I had stitches before when I was a teenager, and the fucking things were like catgut, and they dissolved, or you had to pull them out yourself. They sort of weakened, and you pulled them out. Nowadays, it's all micro stitches. They layer them, and they repair the eye. But it's even nowadays, it's never quite the same. Never quite the same. So it's possible the eye did open. I don't know. I mean, I'm tempted to say, all right, it's a legitimate injury. And unless Fury said to someone, hit me repeatedly on this eye so that it swells a bit and then it's split, then the skin will split. If you get a swelling over scar tissue or where there's been an injury, it splits easier. Another thing is, Headguards. Now, I haven't had a headguard on for 35 years, so I don't know what the hell they're like nowadays. I don't keep up on, training equipment. Some people know all about different types of gloves. I honestly don't, because I haven't had a pair of gloves or a headguard on for 35 years. But I'm told, and I've read, that if you put the headguard on, nowadays they cover the eyes, so they protect you from cuts. And it's extremely difficult, not impossible, but extremely difficult to get cut with a modern all-encompassing headguard. The complaint being that some of them limit your peripheral vision, because they're so sort of protective of the whole of the eyes. But you would think Fury, coming up to a fight this lucrative, so close to it, he'd be taking extra precautions against getting a cut eye. You'd think, okay, we don't want anything silly to happen. It's like they might lay off the bodywork a bit because they want to pick up a rib injury, and they might cover the eyes to make sure you don't get a cut. Now, when the forever imbecilic Gareth A. Davis was interviewed yesterday, he said, "Well, Tyson doesn't." I'm coming back to do him, and Tyson doesn't wear headguards. Well, then they released this bit of footage with Fury wearing a headguard, and there's a clash of heads or an elbow. And by the way, that's very grainy. That footage. Someone in my comment section said that must have been taken with a 1997 mobile phone. And if you've had a mobile phone, I've had mobile phone. I'm not a tech geek. Give me any old phone as long as it works. But I remember having phones and you'd film something and it looked like, it was slow, it was robotic, it was grainy. It looks like it's been recorded with one of those phones. But anyway, clearly the footage shows Fury wearing a headguard. And Gareth A. Davies, I'm not going to dwell on his twat, but, he was saying, well, I'm sure Tyson's devastated. I'm sure Oleksandr's devastated. And it doesn't make any sense that he tried to get out of the fight. Really, Gareth? Really? Do I need to say more? Gareth A. Davies, Tyson Fury's biggest fluffer. Let's call him that. So, yes, I can understand that people are saying not much adds up with this. Not much adds up. And it's possible that let's put it this way. Let's say that injury is legit. I have no doubt, and you can say this is you being a conspiracy theorist, I have no doubt that there's a part of Tyson Fury and his team that is delighted the fight is off, because it gives them more time, regardless of the eye, to get him physically prepared and fighting fit. Okay? Because looking at that cut, I don't see this fight being until something like July, maybe even August, something like that. He won't be able to do it. He won't be able to spar, obviously, once this, for a couple of months. And it's also, there is a sort of poetry to this as well, because if you remember David Haye, he cancelled two fights against Fury, and one of them was for a cut. And Fury, and at the time Peter Fury was training Tyson, even he implied, I like Peter Fury, but he talked crap on this one, because even he was saying it was a fake cut. And, from what I gather, if I remember it rightly, he was saying, certainly the team was saying, oh, he's faked it, he's cut himself deliberately and blah-de-blah-de-blah. And now this has happened to Fury and people are saying the same things. But let me put it this way. Let me emphasize something to you. Tyson Fury had better reschedule this fight. I'm sure he would love Usyk to take on someone else, a Filip Hrgović or someone like that. Hrgović is the IBF mandatory, because that'll put more miles on Usyk's clock. And of course, there's a chance. I would pick Usyk to beat Hrgović, but Hrgović is not a slouch. He can fight. But if Fury ducks a postponement of this fight and doesn't reschedule to fight Usyk, and instead, as an example, goes for the winner of Joshua versus Ngannou, I'm really done with this guy if that happens. And don't rule it out. Don't rule it out. And Warren and Fury and Fury's team would. This is something that they would do. Because that is potentially more lucrative, even more lucrative than the 2-fight deal that he's got with Usyk, and he would probably regard Joshua or Ngannou as being far less of a threat than Usyk. Make no mistake about it, Tyson Fury knows. He knows damn well that Usyk is a real threat to his undefeated record. And as long as he's got that undefeated record, he can say, I'm the best of my era. I'm the best of... he can say I'm the best of all time. He can say anything. It's like Mao Zedong used to talk about the big lie. Joseph Goebbels, the Nazi propaganda minister, used to talk about this as well. You tell a lie enough, it becomes the sort of mainstream narrative. You keep telling it, and as absurd as it is, it becomes real. And we see it all the time in politics. Corporations use it with their I was going to say propaganda. It is propaganda, isn't it? But their publicity. But if he doesn't fight Usyk, if he ducks Usyk, right, and he looks to fight someone else, he's a disgrace. And to me, his legacy, and he does care about his legacy. He does care about history. Otherwise, you wouldn't talk about being the greatest ever. He wouldn't talk about being the greatest of his era. But if he ducks him, his legacy will be in the absolute shitter. It will be in the sewage where it would fucking belong if he ducks this guy, because he is so devious, Fury, that I wouldn't put it past him to try and avoid Usyk, avoid the postponement. And again, I hope I'm wrong, like I was hoping I was wrong that this was going to be cancelled. Unfortunately, I wasn't wrong. I wanted to be wrong. But I wouldn't put anything past Tyson Fury. I wouldn't trust him as far as I could sling him. And trust me, I probably couldn't pick him up. I probably couldn't get one of his legs off the ground, especially in the condition I'm in. But nah. And also, one last thing before I go. Let's not forget, the excellent turkey milkshake. He must be spitting nails over this, especially when they've just done that magnificent promo film. Have you seen that? I was going to do a video on that separately. But what an incredible promo. It must have cost them millions to make that damn thing. It's like a little Hollywood mini epic. And he desperately wanted and has thrown millions and millions of pounds, dollars, whatever, into this fight, into trying to make this fight. And if Fury ducks Usyk, this guy will be done. The excellent turkey will say, no, sod off. I've had enough of you. And Fury will have revealed all of his true flaws and faults, if he hasn't already, to some of us. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the cancellation of Tyson Fury versus Oleksandr Usyk and whether it is a conspiracy or not. You leave your comments below. I know some of you have already done it with my previous video. Leave your comments below. And yeah, I'll answer them. I'll have a look and I'll answer them. But thank you for your time as always. Please subscribe to the channel if you're new. If you could do that, that would be great. And also, that little like thing, give it a little right cross. Give it a big right cross. Because they count them, apparently. All right. Nice one, ladies and gentlemen. I always appreciate your time. I'll catch you later, and bye for now.